Tonight on CTV, Fort Collins City Council addresses the U+2 ordinance.
Then the ASCSU Senate discusses a new constitution.
And a CSU event celebrates the power of women.
All that and more from the people you know, starting now on CTV.
The ASCSU presidential election season has officially begun, following the first debate yesterday on the plaza. CTV has a lot in store for you tonight surrounding student government. Good evening and welcome to CTV News. I'm Sunday Miller.
And I'm Amelia Castaneda, and here's what's happening in the news near you.
Yesterday afternoon, ASCSU candidates debated on the plaza in front of a growing crowd of students. The two Speaker of the Senate candidates, Murrell Sharif and Benjamin Amundson, were moderated by Elections Manager Tyler Seary and given 2 minutes to respond to each question. The candidates were not allowed to respond to each other, but were both asked how they would improve the culture of Senate and encourage diverse opinions to reflect campus. Following Sharif and Amundson were the 4 ASCSU presidential campaigns: Tristan Siren and running mate Kevin Sullivan, Alec Brust and running mate Marina Winchell, Jacob Epperson and running mate Carter Hill, and Liam Aubrey and running mate Lindsay Roper were asked questions about transparency and the student body and the internal culture within ASCSU. The debate wrapped up at 1:30 p.m. and voting will begin on April 2nd at 8 a.m. on RamWeb. The second debate for the presidential campaign and the Speaker of the Senate candidates is March 28th at 7 p.m. in the Laurie Student Center Theater and will be moderated by anchor Ryan Christ and broadcasted here on CTV.
A citizen proposal to change the U+2 regulations was discussed at the City Council meeting on Tuesday. The citizen proposal was in response to a rise in student loans and the average income of U.S. citizens that should be allocated to rent expenses. There is a study currently in place to receive better citizen feedback on the U+2 regulation. The City Council members recently got back from a trip to Washington, D.C., where they took courses to better inform them on federal policy. Poudre Heritage Alliance programs had thanked the council for all of their help. Also discussed was funding for a new lane on Interstate 25.
Even though we are in the midst of the ASCSU election season, the Senate continued their regularly scheduled session last night to discuss the new Constitution and the Women's Caucus.
At the first Senate session of the second half of spring semester, ASCSU debated the effects of proposed changes to their Constitution and unanimously passed 2 pieces of legislation about empowering students. Some senators, namely Kevin Sullivan and Tamara Breidenbach, were concerned about the effect of Tony Frank possibly not signing the new Constitution.
Would ASCSU still exist if we're going back and forth trying to figure out how to address these issues?
CSU General Counsel Jason Johnson assured them that that was not going to happen, and ASCSU would continue to exist.
To me, I'm not thinking, oh, ASCSU is going to disappear. It's not. We're working together. We're going to get a constitution and get it taken care of.
ASCSU President Michael Wells closed the discussion by reminding the body that this was still just a preliminary version of the Constitution, and their feedback would be used for future drafts.
So essentially the plan is to make sure that by the end of the year, we have this in a bill that can be ratified by the body to amend the Constitution in a way that we see fit for both parties.
Both pieces of legislation that passed, a bill to formally establish the Women's Caucus in ASCSU, and a resolution establishing the body's support for more religious exemption policies and syllabi, were passed unanimously with minimal revisions. The main change to the Women's Caucus bill was to allow men to be members too, although it was decided that only women could chair the caucus.
In order to respect the integrity of this particular effort, I'd like to leave that.
Both pieces of legislation were either authored or co-authored by this woman, Murrell Sharif. This is Stuart Smith, CTV 11.
There will be no ASCSU Senate sessions for the next 2 weeks as their elections come to a close.
A Women in Philanthropy event took place on Wednesday in the Laurie Student Center to celebrate the power of women. The event was sponsored by Colorado State University Women's Philanthropy and University Advancement.
When I look around this room and I think about the women that I've influenced in my life, I see strength, courage, tenacity, ingenuity, inspiration.
CSU President Tony Frank was among the speakers at the Women in Philanthropy Symposium. He emphasized the university's commitment to making CSU the best place for women to learn and work.
I feel like over the years, women have overcame a lot, like women's rights and equality and, you know, being able to be on the same pedestal as a man and being able to do the same things as a man is allowed to do. And yeah, I feel like we've made a lot of progress in that area.
The mission of the Women in Philanthropy at CSU
It is to
is
celebrate and elevate women's philanthropy at Colorado State University by inspiring and engaging a diverse group of women to create positive impacts at CSU and beyond.
Women and men and everybody should just have the ability to do what they want, and I think that's important, and that's what we should strive for, that everybody gets to make their choices for themselves and no one tells anybody what they need or shouldn't do.
the half-day symposium featured panel discussions along with remarks from keynote speaker Vicki Saunders.
Do see younger people getting more active in that respect, but we still have a lot of progress to be made. Not a lot of people take this kind of thing as seriously as they should, and that's unfortunate.
To learn more about women in philanthropy at CSU, you can visit advancing.colostate.edu/womeninphilanthropy.
A man is dead after his car crashed into a semi-truck in South Fort Collins late Wednesday evening. Police say a 9-year-old passenger was taken to the hospital with minor injuries. According to authorities, the intersection of Timberline and Harmony has closed Thursday morning for 6 hours as Fort Collins police investigated the incident. Police are still working to determine the color of the lights during the accident and are asking anyone with information who have not already come forward to contact Officer Tim Brennan at 970-416-2229.
A CSU student spent 12 hours in jail after he chained himself to an oil and gas company's property in protest of fracking. Authorities arrested Colin Loeb, a junior studying journalism and environmental affairs and former collegiate columnist. Loeb and fellow activists were protesting a fracking project by the extraction oil and gas company. Loeb protested by chaining himself to the only front end loader on the site. Loeb and his group feel that this fracking site's proximity to Bella Romero Academy, a Greeley middle school, puts the children's health at risk and presents a case of environmental racism. The site originally planned to locate near Frontier Academy, another Greeley middle school, but the community pushed back. Loeb later elaborated on his motivation to protest, quote, "There's a big environmental racism problem going on with this project," Loeb said. A lot of the parents in Weld County are either undocumented or working multiple jobs to support their children, so they don't want to jeopardize their lives. It's really important for us to stick up for them because if their parents aren't in the position to fight and stick up for what they want, then that's what we're here for. According to Great Schools, a nonprofit organization that provides information about primary and secondary schools, Frontier Academy is 77% white, with only 20% of students considered low income, whereas Bella Romero is 82% Latinx and 93% of students are from low income families.
So Amelia, I was wondering, what qualities are you hoping for in a student body representative?
Definitely. I feel that a quality is someone that really reflects the diversity of the student body.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more there. That's all we have for news.
But don't go away. Kenan Kozar is up next with your weather update.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
Welcome back from Break Rounds. I'm your weather anchor, Kenan Kozar. Hope you had a great spring break and are having a great end of your week. Let's look at your current conditions. Right now it's 43 degrees, winds at 7 miles an hour, and mostly clear. You also have some clouds building up tonight, so be aware of that if you're headed out anywhere. Looking at your tonight's highs along the Front Range, it's going to be about 40s. Denver about 47. On the plains, we're going to see some 40s and 30s with 42 in Lamar. Looking on the into the mountains, we're going to see 30s and 40s as well, with Grand Junction out at 48. Okay, looking at your 5-day forecast, we're going to warm up. This weekend it's going to be super nice. Ryan has your weekend activities planned for you in entertainment. And on Monday, it's going to be cold, so it's going to rain in the morning, rain in the afternoon. So if you're headed to school, bring a jacket, biking. And then on Tuesday, we stay cool, but it's not going to rain. It's just going to be super nice. Looking at tomorrow's forecast, it's going to be sunny. It's going to be sunny, 70 degrees, 34 degrees as your low. Looking at your gust, I guess it's going to be 22 degrees. Look at your looking at your 5-day forecast, it's going to be 68 degrees. Into the weekend, it's going to be nice again. It's going to be rain and snowy on 48. It's going to rain a little bit. And look at your Friday planner, you're going to warm up. It's going to be 51 degrees, nice. Round noon, it's going to be 63 degrees, breezy. More clouds move into the afternoon, windy. It's going to be 18 miles an hour. So it's going to be kind of windy for evening commute. So stay tuned for Jared up next with sports, talking about men's basketball and lacrosse.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
They told me a bottle couldn't dream. That I would never become a superhero. But I learned how to fly. Just to come back in a new disguise. And be the hero that I've always wanted to be.
Welcome back from the break into the Thursday Night Sports Show. I'm Jared Stratton, here to catch you up on CSU athletics. The search for the men's basketball head coach has finally come to an end. Athletic Director Joe Parker has selected Nico Medved to be the new head coach. Joe Parker will welcome Nico Medved back to the program tomorrow at 10 a.m. in Bob Davis Hall. Medved originally started with the CSU Rams back in 2007 when he was hired as an assistant head coach, but quickly developed into CSU's top recruiter, helping the team rebuild. When he was hired, the Rams originally had a 9-22 record, and by the time he left in 2013, the Rams' record improved to 25-8 and won 2 postseason games before falling to Louisville. Successfully rebuilding teams has been a trend for Medved's career. After he left CSU to take the head coaching position for Furman, he improved the 7-24 team to 23-11 by the time he left, with 2 postseason appearances in his last 2 years. The CSU Rams, with a record of 11-21, are hoping Medved can help rebuild, much like how he did for CSU and Furman years before. When asked about coming back to the Rams, Medved responded, "My family and I are ecstatic to have the opportunity to return to Fort Collins and Colorado State University to become the head men's basketball coach. This is obviously an incredibly special place to me and to my family. Some of the best memories I've had personally and professionally happened at Colorado State. We have tremendous leadership from the top down, and we look forward to partnering with everybody in the Fort Collins and Colorado State communities to build Colorado State basketball into one of the premier programs into the Mountain West." The CSU lacrosse team is currently playing Grand Canyon University in their 10th game of the season, and reporter Sydney Wicker is live at the game.
Thank you, Jared. I am currently out here in the intramural fields where CSU is taking on Grand Canyon University. They are down 2-4. 15 minutes left to play. We did just see a goal from freshman Josh Kelly, who put one in for the Rams. Hopefully, we will see more attacks from their forwards if they want to come back and win this game. We have seen a lot better defense than we did from the team when they played Arizona State on Sunday. Hopefully, we can see them continue to pull out a win and keep putting goals in the net. That's all I have for you right now. Back to you, Jared.
The CSU women's basketball team played this Sunday in round 2 of the Women's National Invitation Tournament against the South Dakota Coyotes. The Coyotes led during all but the first minute of the game, with the lead growing to 25 points by the end of the game. The Rams ended up losing 74-49 to the Coyotes to officially end the season. It was sadly the last college games for Stina Oskolen, Veronica Mirkovic, and Hannah Taverdi. Hannah Taverdi led the seniors, scoring 10 points or more in 13 of her last 14 games, with 4 of those games being above 20 points. She also led the team in scoring and rebounds. Stina Oskolen now ranks 5th place for CSU's all-time career three-point percentage list and led the team with three-pointers for the season. Veronica Mirkovic was also a force to be reckoned with over the season on defense, with her steal and block totals both being second for the team. Head coach Ryan Williams will look to lead his Rams further into the Mountain West Championship next season, which will be his 7th season with the Rams. The CSU softball team will be taking the field this Friday at 7 p.m. to take on the Fresno State Bulldogs to start their 3-game series. The Rams' last 2 wins against Nevada were both walk-off wins, giving the Rams some much-needed momentum for the series, with their last win in Fresno State being all the way back in 2014. Bridget Hutton is going to be leading the Rams, pitching a .41 ERA rating over the last 17 innings with 14 strikeouts. Sarah Music has a team-high 467 batting average, which is 23rd highest in the entire nation. The Rams have won 7 of their last 8 games and will continue to bring that energy to Fresno State. Well, that's all the sports I have for today, but make sure to check collegian.com and CTV Channel 11 on YouTube for the latest in CSU athletics. I'm Jared Stratton. Up next is Ryan Chris with March Madness, the Food Edition.
Okay, so we drowned the fire, stirred it, drowned it again, and now just feel if it's cold.
Yeah.
Cool.
Smokey just gave me a bear hug.
I know. Already posted it.
You are listening to 90.5 KCSU Fort Collins with DJ Meanbeat,
DJ Nightshade, DJ Wildcard. Music to me is one of the best creative outlets that I can think of. An escape from the real world.
Music to me is an expression of love.
Go from like folk to hip hop to like classic rock, 1960s bossa nova. With music, there's like no boundaries.
I work here because I love music, and you do too.
What's up, Rams? My name's Ryan Chris, and I hope you had a fantastic spring break. I, for one, did not go anywhere, but I got to sleep in every day, and in my book, that's literally the only thing I live for. Speaking of not going where, if you're not going anywhere on April 6th, you should consider seeing the CSU annual fashion show at the Lincoln Center. Each year, students from the apparel and merchandising major try to create even more captivating garments than the year before. These students have been working on these outfits since the fall semester to make sure everything is perfect for this event. This year's show theme is Spectrum, where students have used a variety of colors to bring out light and create a spectrum. Tickets can be purchased at www.lctic.com. As well as a sneak peek of a few garments can be found on their Instagram at csu-fashion.show. Now, I'm excited to see what they're doing this year because last year they made dresses out of recycled World War II parachutes, so I don't know how they're going to top that this year. Spring is finally here, which means warm weather, flowers, and of course, those people who get those sneeze attacks, you know, the ones where they just can't stop sneezing right in the middle of class because they're allergic to literally oxygen. But honestly, I don't know if it's their sneezing that bothers me. It's the people who really annoy me are the ones who say bless you for every sneeze. Like, listen, Greg, we get it. They're blessed or whatever. Anyways, on a lighter note, as Keenan Cozart said, it's going to be warm this weekend, perfect to start some spring activities like gardening. And if you don't have a green thumb, don't worry because Gardens on Spring Creek will be having insider tips, tricks, and information to grow a successful home garden in Colorado. This event will take place Saturday the 24th from 1 to 3 p.m. and admissions is $10. The Gregory Art Museum was presenting their art in a unique way this past week. At the Gregory Alakar Museum in the UCA, their third Music in the Museum was going on, where 2 musicians came to play 10 Blake songs which tied into the art surrounding them.
The theme for tonight was nature and the pastoral as a concept in visual art and in music and in poetry. So all of the music had to do with natural themes, and the gallery that we chose is the gallery that has a lot of sort of paintings of different natural scenes or landscape painting, so that we could tie that in.
While the musicians were playing, a professor from the art history department was teaching us about the music and how it coincides with the art.
Together with this visual arts display, people relax into it and they can kind of feel their way through the music into the works of art. And I think that helps people to feel like the art itself is more accessible.
Music in the museum has seen great success with CSU students and, most importantly, members of the community.
Every time I go to the museum, whether it's with my students or with my children or by myself, I'm always seeing members of the community who are in the gallery spaces. And I think that they really like to come to these kinds of events because it gives them a different take on what they can see just silently on their own. And having music in the space with the works of art also helps to make the art come alive in a different way.
To find out more, go to music.colorstate.edu. Have you ever been home wondering where you should go out to eat? Well, if you have, you're in luck, because in the light of March Madness, the Coloradoan did their own March Madness bracket, but not about basketball, but about food. Yes, throughout March, the Coloradoan has been getting its viewers to vote for their favorite/best burger place in Fort Collins. This tournament started on March 12th, where viewers could vote for the top 4 after narrowing down 80 options. The final 4 are Big Al's Burgers, DC Oaks and Brewhouse, Stuffed, and Nick's Italian. And I know what you're thinking. Nick's Italian does serve burgers, and apparently a pretty good one. The voting for this will end tomorrow at 5 p.m., and you can vote at the bottom of the Final 4 article on the Coloradoan website. Are you thinking about getting married but hate the idea of buying a ring? Well, a new fad might be right up your alley. Instead of buying a ring, young newlyweds are getting their ring finger pierced instead of buying an actual ring so they can save money. This has been a fad that's been going on for a while, but has just recently been becoming more popular. Now, when I first heard of this, I thought it was maybe a little exaggerated, like, do people actually do this? So to find out, I called local piercing store Covenant, where Shane Thompson, who has been piercing skin since 1990, told me what he had to say.
We've done quite a bit of it, actually. What we put in there is what we call a microdermal anchor. And it's a single point piercing that has a titanium foot on it, and we put a gem on the top of it. The gems can be many different sizes and shapes and all sorts of things. I think that it's a high traffic area, and if people don't take care of it right, they can certainly end up with problems. Absolutely, it's a trend that will pass. I've been doing them for about 10 years, and we don't do, nearly as many as we do of other anchor places that are just as poorly thought out. So, it's certainly one of those things that the people who doesn't succeed on, they're going to tell people who are interested in it that it didn't succeed on them, and it'll reduce the amount of people who want to get it done. And then the people who do have success with it, hopefully will help educate the people who want to get it done, who also want to get it that they know. And then we'll probably see a balance on it at some point,
These types of piercings are also one of the most temporary, as your body rejects it as time goes on, which is kind of a weird metaphor for marriage. So I guess if you're not sure about your upcoming marriage, this might be the ring for you. Well, Rams, that's all the time I have for you tonight. Make sure to stay tuned for Monday Night Sports Show, and have a great night, Rams.